All right, so I'm opening your door, and like as soon as I open your door, what I'm seeing is just like these pink clouds everywhere. Just pink clouds, and like there's this grand staircase coming down into this like I don't want to call it an amusement park, but it's kind of got that vibe where there's a lot of things going on, plus just beautiful, beautiful meadows and nature.
Mm.
I am being brought to a specific tree in the meadow. And it looks like there's writing in this tree. Um, Not necessarily like you carved anything in a tree in this lifetime, but it's been there. There's something about you reconnecting with nature. You haven't been connecting with nature at all in a while. So your soul is asking that you take time every day to find a way to connect with nature, even if it's just getting a house plant for, um, you know, at the bare minimum. But they want to remind you that you are a very spiritual being, and that's not being reflected in your daily life right now. And I understand you're a very busy person. So sometimes it's not easy to take, some time to meditate or step outside and go appreciate your yard, things like that. But your soul is begging you to please do that because the fact that you're not doing that means that at any question you ask yourself, you are not going to get a clear answer. Not at all. Because you disconnected from nature. She is, you and nature are supposed to be best friends, and that hasn't been happening. And so, like, there's something there around in past lives, you didn't even have a home, you only lived in nature. And so, spirits, like, if you need to, camp out in the backyard for a month. They are serious.
I could camp in the backyard for a month. That's no problem.
Yeah. So obviously when it's warmer, but
Mm.
in the meantime, find things you can do, or maybe get yourself a house plant, something easy peasy to grow, like a succulent or something. But just so that you can have a conscious reminder that this is what your soul is asking of you. And the reason, I mean, if we expand on this reason, what I'm hearing is not only clarity, but I heard this like ding, like this toning sound, a bell and toning um, music to connect you all the way back to your creative streak. That has been lacking. So, spirit is like, or nature is literally your bridge. So, here's regular life, right? Here's nature, your bridge, and then here is your creativity. Right now, with nature not there, there's no bridge. It's just this or this, and it's black and white for you right now. But if you purposely connect those dots, it will integrate together where your daily life and your creativity will start melding back together. And I know that's a conversation we've had before. So this is the answer to get you back there. Woo! I start out with a bang. Definitely hiking, like actually leaving the property and go hiking. Tons, 15 minutes away is hiking trails,
Mm.
you know. Seeing what else. I'm being brought to a bench. You know what's interesting is I'm seeing tons of writing everywhere. Um, and so when I see writing everywhere, this isn't too common. Actually, this is the first time I've run into it. When there's writing or symbols everywhere, symbolism is incredibly important in your life. Um, Synchronicities, which you already know about and you
Constantly.
experientially, yeah. But the symbols themselves, this is where, maybe you're thinking of something and a song plays and you're like, oh, da da da. Um, there's a difference between real symbols and signs and stuff that is misleading. So the really pay, and the reason why I'm telling this is because you are so spiritually inclined that you know exactly what I mean. You can tap into it.
Mhm.
So when you're dealing with inconsistent signs, it's all about how you feel in your body. So really tap into that heart space, tap into your gut. Like, okay, so I'm seeing this symbol and all of a sudden I'm getting anxious and paranoid, or fear is coming up, or anger, all those type of emotions. Those are the symbols that take you down one path. But if you see another symbol that is the complete opposite, and you're feeling calm and like maybe giddy, something, that's another path. And it's up to you which mindset you want to take in that moment. So your soul is really asking you to pay attention to your mindset and make the decision today. How do you want to feel moving forward? Are you wanting to feel just like uptight and a sense of fear, or do you want to relax into life and just go with the flow? So whatever is coming up, I feel like this is with that one woman. I'm not going to repeat her name, but I know who she is. um, that's one of the things that is going to help answer that question, is your own symbolism around you, like the a sense of chaos or a sense of orderliness, a sense of fear or a sense of calm and peace. All those two, it's a very dichotomic, that's probably not the right word, situation there.
Divergent.
Divergent. Oh, that's a cool word for it.
Toward this woman, it does feel calm, loving, and giddy, like a kid at Christmas. That's the energy that's there, that's waiting for me.
Mm, okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, so keep working with that symbolism and as well as journaling. So part of this writing is your own handwriting. So this journaling they want you to do, and this is another thing with nature, they really, really want you to do this. This is part of your um, soul growth in this lifetime. So I mean, you obviously you have a choice to do it. You have a choice to make it happen. If you don't, you know, just life's going to go on. But if you really want to ascend, these are some things that you need to incorporate into your life. Now, when it comes to the journaling, what they want you to do is start at childhood. Whatever feels right to start talking about as a child and moving upwards. Um, or relating it from like, I was 14, this happened, and now I'm here at this age, and I see the correlation, or I see the correlation on how it's been healed. Stuff like that. They really want you. I really feel like this session, this reading is all about integration. They've been waiting, or your soul has been waiting and waiting and waiting for you to integrate after all the hardships you went through during the pandemic. You have not integrated, like, you've integrated maybe 10% at this point of all that experience into your new reality, and then your old reality, meshing them all together. It's,
So I don't understand because my life now is tremendously more healthy.
oh yeah,
The
no,
destruction is gone, the self
mhm,
destruction, the self humiliation, the public humiliation that came with certain behaviors, that's
mhm,
gone completely. But
mhm.
I don't know how to reintegrate what was lost or specifically how to label it and grasp on.
it's not about what was lost. Okay. So don't get too focused on that. This is about you integrating the old paradigm and the new paradigm because you're in your new paradigm right now, right? You just explain the benefits of moving into this new timeline, but integrating the two, this is not a conscious thing at all. This has to do with your soul evolution specifically because this is carried over into your next lifetime. So that's why they say it's really important to do that this lifetime, so that your next lifetime you don't have to repeat half of what you did this round.
I'm getting the image now of being on third base, and getting from second to third base was extremely difficult, and I literally
Mm-hmm.
was at death's door in between. And since I've reached third base, I've stayed put. I have not reintegrated the rest of the game. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't tried to move toward home plate. I've just been standing there, catching my breath and
Okay.
trying to be a better person. But you're right, the entire social structure of my life is still non existent. All that was there before is gone, and the
Well,
creativity as well.
I think there must be a point to the journaling, um, which obviously only you can consciously figure out. This is just, just giving, um, translating your soul's message, basically. But it sounds like you already know what is still left to integrate. Because in the old paradigm, your social situations were a certain way, right? Which we all know. And then now you're shifting into the like, okay, am I gonna hit it off or just kind of hang out and stick around and just watch what happens, or are you gonna take a step forward? And I know you are gonna be taking that trip out of the country soon, but your soul's saying you don't have to wait. You can get out and, I mean, the bare minimum, like connecting to nature, going on a trail hike. You're gonna pass by people all the time. Hi, hi. That could be an reintegration into social life right there. Easy peasy. You don't have to hold a conversation. It's all about just remembering how many people are actually out there, remembering everybody has their own experience. And as you walk past, you can sit there and think, I wonder what they were thinking right now. Were they thinking about dinner? Were they thinking about, where to go next? Were they thinking that, oh, I put on the wrong socks this morning? It's like having a curiosity for it. That's the word I've been looking for, curiosity. Bringing that back into your daily life here and now, and not waiting to start your life when you go out of the country.
I do feel that two of the things that you said in the past few moments are connected. Said that if it would be great to reintegrate this now so you don't have to go through another whole half of a lifetime. That's exactly where I feel. I'm at the halfway point,
Mhm.
and I could have gone into the ground,
I know.
and I hop skipped just over that river of death. And now it's like my psyche doesn't know what to do. So, how to reintegrate the rest of it
Hmm. Is by journaling.
by journaling and getting back into nature and waiting for inspiration to come.
Correct. Those are, if you take anything away, I mean, we're kind of just getting started too, but when it comes to you, I always get tons of information. So, but if you remember anything, those are the two first steps. So you may just be getting tons of different steps on how to work towards whatever your soul's progression is supposed to be. Step one, connect to nature. Step two, journaling. Remember that. Okay. All right. Let's see what's next. I see us going to another bench. So, And this one is kind of in front of, it's almost like a car lot. So that's unique. It's very interesting the images I get, but they always have some meaning. So the fact that I keep being brought to different benches is really resonating with where you are now. It's kind of like a stop and go. But benches are comfortable. We want to hang out and just be in our cozy place, and just watch the world go by without truly interacting unless someone happens to pass by and you really have no choice but to interact.
This has been metaphorical for my life in the past 2 years during my healing.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I can in some ways. Um, the pandemic really threw a wrench in everyone in some form or another. And if they say it didn't, then they haven't been paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this whole image of a car lot, um, this makes me feel like there's just so many things that you're constantly having to go through up and down aisles and aisles and aisles, trying to make a choice. You make a choice, and then you're like, oh no, I'm going to go check out this one over here instead. So, too many choices, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or or maybe it's not too many choices, it's more like too many decisions to make. So those are kind of two sides of the same coin, right? Um, so when you have a lot of decisions to make, that is where you need order. That's where you need routine. So that's coming up as well as a daily routine. Like, all of us, we all get up, go to the bathroom, do our thing, maybe have some breakfast or do something, you know. But your soul wants you to track your routines now and then decide what is going to help you better moving forward. Just change one thing a day. But they want you to track it for at least 2 weeks, and then you'll guarantee, okay. So, because I know sometimes with your work, your sleep schedule can get a little shifty. Um, so,
That was one of the tenets of this trip, was getting into her schedule
mm.
and shaping my work routine around her work routine and adapting that schedule as my schedule.
Yeah, but that's not healthy in the big picture because that is an example of external, um, not validation, but um, wrapping your life around external circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just going to not help your soul progression. So when you do that, it's more going to have to be around a compromise, you know. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like. Only the two of you will figure that out. But definitely try your hardest not to fall into that trap, so to say. It'll be really easy, obviously. Um, but if there's times during the day where you're like, okay, she's not working, but there's some really important stuff I need to get it done. She will actually really understand. You know, you guys don't have to be together 24/7. That's actually not even healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you take care of yourself first, always. And that does not mean you can't compromise with the person you love very deeply. And if they love you as deeply as you love them, then they're open to compromise as well.
Since you said the word bench, I've had the repeated image in my head of when I did my first spirit guide introduction. Well, not maybe not my first, but did one in 2014 at the Love Shack, um, and I met Rahula. I didn't know. I didn't have any
Mm,
concept of who or what a Rahula was, but that's who sat down, this golden skinned androgynous being with the something of a beehive hairdo coming up the top and introduced as Rahula. And we chatted, but I can't remember any of it. And I've had one person come through my life since then at essentially the halfway point between then and now, who presented herself as an incarnation of that guide
mm,
and wanted to take credit for it, of course.
mm-mm,
Um, I didn't
mm-mm,
feel that was right, but
mm-mm.
since you said bench, I keep seeing Rahula's face and hearing that word in my head. So I don't know if that has any relevance or not.
Yeah, very well. I
Okay.
mean, if that's coming up for you, then yes, it absolutely has relevance. If someone takes credit for an incarnation of anything, that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
Because if someone knows they're incarnated as someone specific, they will never fess up. Not once. They'll just be like, that is information I hold for myself.
Mhm.
And that's appropriate too, because the moment you start saying, oh, I'm this from this realm or this, XYZ, that's when external attacks can happen, psychic attacks can happen, people really getting hurt in
Mhm.
some way, especially if there's a semblance of trying to rein in trust, right? Um,
It's like herding cats. You can't do it.
oh,
You
you
can't
can't.
rein in trust.
No, you can't. You can't. That's earned. That's built. I just heard chaos theory. So, when we think of chaos theory, um, that we always have this like negative connotation to it, and that's because of societal conditioning, right? Or parental conditioning. When things are chaotic, that means things are bad. Um, that's not necessarily true. Um, when things are chaotic, this is when it just means there's a dismantling happening. And when a dismantling happens, that's actually a good thing. So okay, so our consciousness, we see things from a specific point of view. However, we grew up, our consciousness, the way we feel internally about circumstances or people, um, and we have that all right here. And we could think, oh, it's good or bad. But when you go up, if you think about it from that higher perspective, that bigger picture, everything's always good, right? So, this chaos theory, this sense of chaos is actually a good thing,
Catalyst.
a catalyst, definitely a catalyst for the dismantling of something, and then it can, the pieces that don't need to be there or just don't fit, poof, they can go and the reestablishment can happen. Now, let me ask why that came up. Um, I'm coming back to the routines. This is all coming back to the routines that you're not in like a stable flow, like, okay, my day looks like this. I move through the day like this. I end the day like this. And then I give myself, a couple hours before I go to sleep. That's something that's really important. Spirit wants you to know to stop working at least 2 hours before you go to sleep.
Mm.
Because subconsciously it's really kind of messing with your dream state, and they want that balanced out too. That's another part of the whole reintegration. I keep wanting to say remantle, but I know that's not a word. um,
Maintain is mantener. That's a word I've been learning. So remantling is maintaining yourself, self
mhm.
maintenance.
Yes, yes, and not just maintenance. There's a sense of like discipline as well, self-discipline.
Don't have any.
It's it's hard. I bet you have more than you think you do. So maybe when you're thinking about the routines you have, during the day. Think about what are like the non-negotiables you definitely do every day. And that is a form of self-discipline right there. Because, we have these routines throughout the day, and sometimes we have to adjust them, but there are non-negotiables. This happens every single day at this time or in this order, that sort of thing. Like say in the morning, you're cleaning up, okay, wash the face, wash the teeth, brush the hair, Um, it doesn't have to be in that order, but that's an example of a non-negotiable, right? Um, and then something that can maybe be more fluid is like, okay, I got X, Y, Z done. I know I got to go to work. I know I have this project right now, but I need to check my email. So you have the choice right there. Okay, let's either start on the project or start on the email. And that's where it's like, okay, that is a non-negotiable, or that is a negotiable one, where maybe one day it's more appropriate to check your email first, and another day it's more appropriate to start the project.
Mm.
Um, I am feeling that super deeply in my body right now. This whole concept of routines, of reorganizing chaos, and not only that, the big picture is here is appreciating chaos for what it is. To say thank you for having chaos. Thank you for, sending me this strife, this challenge, this anguish or perceived anguish, right? Um, because then it can be unraveled and figured out what was really wrong. We can shove that out of the way and go on with the good stuff.
A life without catalyst is a life without any growth whatsoever. The more catalyst you
Correct.
experience, the more times you get to prove your worth, prove your mettle again and
Yes.
again, the more your spirit learns
Mm,
what you are, who you are.
correct.
And that's your only purpose here is to be the best you that you can. You're
Correct.
getting closer to reuniting with Source, God, Creator, all that is.
All that is definitely God. Do you have a Bible?
I have about 5 Bibles.
Mhm.
Some of them in this room.
Oh yeah, that's right. Um, why don't you grab one of them and have it next to you, in next to your bed, so that when you're bored, or overwhelmed with work or questioning questions, it doesn't even matter what you question. We all question probably a million things a day when really we just need to clear our minds. And maybe for you, I mean, it doesn't apply to everyone, of course, but since you are such a spiritual being, remembering about faith and having that physical article of faith in front of you, um,
Mm.
has a lot of benefits. And whenever you feel called, just pick it up, open a page, read whatever passage just seems to blare out at you, and usually, because you're a spiritual being, you will magnetize the exact words you need.
I feel that this could be any spiritual book like Orantia or The Law of One or anything else that has resonated with me in the past,
Yeah,
just to bring something to my attention and to give an opportunity for randomness to be entered, to give a clue.
that's a good point. Yeah. Okay. Um, definitely before you take off, make sure you have your book in mind.
Right
Excuse
now, it's
me.
going to be a book of 500 Spanish verbs, but I don't think that's going to have a whole lot of. You never know.
No, no,
Maybe
you
it'll.
definitely need that variety. Excuse me, that
Sure.
I was sick not too long ago, and there's this lingering cough. It's, if you've been in the Portland area, you know. Okay, moving forward. Okay, now I'm seeing movement. Now that we've got through all that information, I see you just walking, and you're guiding me this time. I don't have any other guides, or I'm not pulling you along. You're the one pulling me along. Um, Seeing where you want to go. Oh, okay. So we're heading kind of back towards your doorway, towards that big grand staircase I was talking about. But you have me going underneath it. And oh my God, we've done this before. Gone through the grand staircase, opened the doors from underneath it, and walked out into that just acres and acres of property.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a sense of like you're finally remembering that there's a whole world out there. Um, that our worlds are not as small as we think they are. There's so much else going on. Um, and you can make of it what you want. When you have such an expansive space that I'm seeing right now, there's not a lot of trees, bushes, plants, or even a garden out there. It's like a blank canvas. You have This is your opportunity to, maybe do some meditation and put yourself in that space and start decorating it, or start building, gazebos or sheds or whatever. You can build a shed for all your tools, whatever. You can build, little houses out there where one house is where you go in to do your channeling or meditation. Like I call a Reiki room, where I have this like specific library I walk into right before I do Reiki on someone.
Hmm.
And that's like kind of my safe space. And plus, I can pull information from wherever. Um, so that's just an example of what you can put out there, what you can build, because your soul progression is not complete. Because Akashic readings is all about, the information of your soul. This is what we know. This is what's now. This is what's coming for you. And what's coming for you, at least in this lifetime, is a sense of a clean slate. Um, and so I think that's why they want me to show you that, and to remind you that, um, to start bringing your divinity back in, no matter what anybody says. Even if she is not into it, it's a personal thing. It's a very personal aspect that we all carry, and we have the choice to express it or not. But it is our responsibility to work with it, because no one else is going to work with it for you. I mean, I can show you and explain what's out there, but I'm not allowed to plant a tree. Not one. I'm not allowed, right? Um, that is only for you. It's kind of one of those help myself kind of situations. Um, you're really in that place right now of transitioning. So building these bridges with the nature and the journaling, transitioning out of the questioning phase. Because before the pandemic, you had some stuff going on, but there was still, we've had conversations where you really had presence of mind, right?
Hmm.
Um, and not just like presence of mind of like whether it's just the spiritual stuff or just work, um, relationships, XYZ. This presence of mind that you are moving towards, if you so choose to, it's more a presence of peacefulness. There's a sense of just like trying to find the right words, but
Well, let me
it's
validate what you've been saying, because up until this morning, I was planning to leave
mm,
basically 48 hours from then to go on a long trip to be with someone. I see that as the third leg of my life journey, where if it is in fact real, as I hope it to be, it literally will be like Christmas morning, getting everything I've always wanted in the way that I want to receive it, and I will feel 7 feet tall, and I will get to restart an entirely new life in a new city in a new country. It's everything I've ever wanted. So it is, in fact, a clean slate. And there is lots of nature in that country, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe 100 kilometers from the sea or the Gulf. So there's a lot there. You are absolutely right on this. And up until this morning, I would have been laughing because that's exactly where I'm headed.
Mm-hmm.
But because the way to make God laugh is to make a plan, you have to just see what's going to happen in every moment and accept what comes and just know that it has a grand purpose. And you may not know the grand purpose for a very
Mm-hmm.
long time.
Very true.
But I am at that. That is why I've been stuck on third base, because there's been nowhere to go, because I wasn't physically, health wise, or psychologically ready to take this third step.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am. And I
Mm-hmm.
found exactly the right partner to take that journey with. Yeah.
Mic drop.
Unless it's not real, but I'm giving it 80% chance of all being real, of being exactly what I
Yeah.
think it is.
I hope it is real for you because you and I are very synchronistic in that dynamic of our life.
And all
That
three of us in this triangle of people we're speaking of have had horrible things happen to us in the past 2 days
yes,
at about the same time
yes,
of day.
yes. It's these
It's
last.
uncanny.
It is, it is, and that's definitely synchronicities that you're fully aware of, and I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
that about you.
It leads me to believe that you and I are two parts of a larger oversoul. Well,
Yeah.
that just hit hard, didn't
I was gonna say I
it?
felt that.
That just hit
I
hard.
felt that one.
Whew. Ugh.
Whew, thank you, God.
Mm.
Okay, I'm soon. Where else we're going? I see you turning around and walking back in. We're not going all the way in though. I see you kind of stopping at like this space under the stairway. So there's and it's dark. Whenever I see that in a reading, that tells me there's still some shadow work to do. That there's still some diving into those dark spot pieces of us, the the pieces of ourselves that are uncharacteristic, let's say. Um, and it's rears its ugly head every once in a while, or whether it's in front of people or not, or alone, or it doesn't matter. We have those moments where we feeling completely out of character for ourselves and trying to figure out how to reel ourselves back in, right? um, and that's where being in observer mode is going to be useful for you. So I know you know exactly what I mean by observer mode. Just like take your consciousness or your subconscious and be like, oh, I'm watching all this unfold right now. Why can't I stop myself? Or, why can't I say something different? And when you're in observer mode, you're not supposed to change anything. That's the difference because when you observe, it's only taking in information to apply somewhere else or reestablish the energy field in a different way because you gathered the facts basically. And so when it comes to that shadow work, when you do feel yourself triggered, or when you're doing the journaling and you are starting to write about maybe a dark time in your life, um, that's when you allow yourself to be in that observer space, taking in the energy of collecting the facts. Like, and this isn't facts about other people at all. This is about facts about yourself, your own psyche, your own state of being. I wish I wasn't coughing so much.
I do feel like Sometimes we absolutely must exit and observe as an interested third party, because in dreams you can set up scenarios instantaneously and you just arrive at the scene, and you can learn lessons from that, but they don't remain in your conscious mind. The ones that remain most in your conscious mind are the ones that you experience during the large lucid dream, which we consider to be 3D life. That takes time to move the pieces around. So if there are certain scenarios that must be constructed or concocted, pieces must be manipulated on the board and the land to bring it to a place where we can begin that specific experience with the proper settings and the proper energies all around. And sometimes you can be in the exact perfect place, but it's a year too early or a year too late, and it can't resonate
Mm.
the way it was meant to. So you have to reconstruct a different alternative path to that.
Yeah, especially if you want your path to head that way where you're like, okay, I'm curious about this. I want to play this out and see where it goes, right? And oftentimes we do get delayed, because of free will. Free will gets in the way of a lot of things, oftentimes. If we are destined to be with someone, or we have a fateful event that's meant to be on our lives, because of free will wanting to, try something specific or stay where we're at for some reason, um, it will delay the inevitable. But the inevitable will still come. No matter what, your blessings are your blessings. And it's more about being open and being able to see them, um, versus they coming anyway and then you complain that it's not good enough, or something like that, right? So that's the difference there. It's the mindset as well. um, Actually, I'm not sure, someone said something to me about mindset. um, they said they really don't like that word, um, because when you think of the word set, that means something solid, something's not moving, that's it's in its own container, right? So oh God, what's the term she used?
Should be a perceptual viewpoint.
Yeah, yeah, because then that allows flexibility, right?
You can think of it as a pinprick overlooking a scene instead of a box that you're sitting in with your psyche that defines what's around you. You get to define what's around you all the time. You can just be that spot, that spark speck of consciousness observing from anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
any perspective.
Yes, and we can bring that back into the concept of being a catalyst because of that. When you're oftentimes in a state of stagnant mental, thought patterns, right? Um, when you get to that point of like perception change, oh, it can be so jarring. And then you got all this self work you got to work through, right? Whether you're the one that catalyzed it for yourself or someone else maybe catalyzed it for you to kind of click you out of like, where you been, man? Let's rein it back in. Let's reintegrate these really important aspects of life, which always, 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 always comes down to love. Always. And that is a big energy around you right now is love. The softness of it, the excitement and exhilaration that can come from it, the grace we can have, by just allowing love to be love versus starting to butt heads, or like, okay, this, I'm feeling pressured in this way and now I'm like getting tense and not feeling the love. I feel like there's a reason I'm saying this. It's like I kind of feel like I'm going down something. Oh yes, we're still on the shadow work.
Ah,
And so you are finally at that place where like you're letting love back in, but it's almost like, you're holding out this lantern in this dark space, and you're like, I will always keep the light on, There's no doubt about that. This lantern is staying here. Um, but trying to find the door again to the great wide open, to that great clean slate. That's where trust comes in. And you cannot trust yourself. You cannot trust yourself unless you love yourself. That is a universal truth.
One shadow piece that is very clear here is that one of the major features of my life has been my lack of self-worth and my feeling that I don't deserve what I want. And if this path in this new country comes to be, it is like I am the key master and I finally found the lock that's exactly going to
Mm,
say that everything is perfect. It's always been perfect. And you can have exactly what you want and you can be with exactly who you want. All you have to do is make it happen. But you do deserve it. You always deserve it. And that shines all the light on that dark passageway. That when you get exactly what you want and it resonates back to you and they're getting exactly what they want, that's your partner. And that's when the shadow can just disappear in the gray mist, become a cloud on somebody else's house.
that makes me want to cry right there.
Hmm.
I really resonate with that statement right there. Um, we're in January, so we are definitely in the shadow period of, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, the shadow period of the year. And it's real easy to tap into those shadow sides of ourselves, tap into sense of frustration and disconnect and misunderstanding. And that doesn't necessarily mean with other people. This could be just within yourself. Like the first thing you said when you sat down was, hey, let's talk about this relationship that I'm really hoping is a real thing, but there's some red flags that, like, I'm not sure if I should just feel like, well, okay, they're red flags because they're red flags, or they're red flags because of my past experiences, right? And the only way to know that is to follow that string, play out the situation, and see what happens next. Like, like stepping stones. We all got to get to that next stepping stone until the path is completely clear. But we may be looking at these stones that are only like maybe 6 inches apart, and we're looking at them. I'm like, how am I going to jump 5 feet? That's where our that mindset perception is needing to like really become fluid.
That's the quintessential leap of faith.
Correct.
I
Correct.
am, I can, I have, I will, I do.
Perfectly said.
Hmm.
Very much so. And for you specifically to really integrate that and hold that, and not just the integration, the energy part of it, the actual holding it every single day consciously. That's where the journaling and connecting to nature is going to help, because
Hmm.
doing those things is going to just clear the rest out, clear out stuff that, oh yeah, you felt that.
Yeah, I did.
I saw
I just
that.
had three sparks come through my body,
Mm,
a real recollection. So just to backtrack a little bit, one of my the parts of my shadow is envy of others who are really financially successful. But in my life, I've discovered that every single time I've been close to achieving a major financial success, it has been yanked away from me every single time. And in hypnosis, finally I asked the question, and the answer was, it's not time yet. The answer essentially was from my higher self is we have plans for you. If you were to simply become rich, oh, I'm getting chills through my body. If you were to simply become rich, you would retire and have a life of luxury and enjoyment, but you would not fulfill the spiritual destiny that we have laid out for you, that you've laid out for yourself. We needed you to struggle. We needed you to really savor the flavor of the good that is coming your way. And if you already have a tooth that's full of sweets, when the true sweet comes, you won't even recognize it. You won't be able to enjoy it, and you might let it pass you by. So they have plans for me at my current job about what we'll create as a business, things we could
Mm-hmm.
help perhaps the whole world with.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have wanted me not to have that. But that is one of my real green-hearted gremlins that runs through me is when I see someone else getting rich on something, it just tears me up, and I have to go back and I have to recenter. And that's what I was thinking about earlier when you said that. And then you said a minute ago, go to nature. And I thought, oh my God, there's no crypto millionaires in the woods.
Right?
There's
You
no
don't have that in your face.
there's no one to compete with except
Yeah.
yourself and your
Mm-hmm.
own vision of yourself and your own heart. So there's nothing to distract you from your connection with all it is.
Yeah.
And certainly not the very good dice rolls of others around you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
So that's
sometimes
why I got
those,
that shock.
yeah. And sometimes those perceived dice rolls that we see, we only see like the surface of it. We don't actually know what went into for them to have those fateful moments to, because that was written into their life plan. We can't stop that. Um, and, but there's that co-creation process also, the universe, God, Jesus, angels, everyone has plans for you. Your soul has a plan for itself. But if you don't help yourself, then you can't get to it fast
And you
or
have to
faster.
and you have to face it. I just had a strong image of you curled up in a corner crying, hopeless, and behind you was the archangel Gabriel tapping you on the shoulder, and you won't turn and look. So you can't receive the help. It's right there. It's right there waiting and wanting to help you, but you have to face it. It's what you're saying. We both have to face
Hmm.
the good that is for us and that is in us instead of play this game of evasion that we as humans are so good at.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Um, you said it perfectly. I do want to mention that we have a visitor with us.
Is it here?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. No.
Tall, right here.
Not too
It's
tall.
okay. This was here earlier.
Yeah. No, 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 no.
Okay.
This is like short. I feel like this is not human. Um, but there's this sense of like they're holding this open book, um, reminding you that you have all the knowledge you need. Um, all clicking off the remote and opening a book instead. That will also clear your mind. Um, and it'll help you find that doorway back out. So that's something. Um, so I'll just leave that one with you. You can decide what is appropriate for you there.
So in electrical engineering terms, when you have a circuit that has energy moving through it, there's always a point which is called the ground, which is
Hmm.
where the lowest energy part of the circuit is. And it can represent zero or the earth. You said put down the remote, and I got the instant image of the big TV in my bedroom with a big grounding symbol on it. It is a false sense of escape because it instead of taking me through the world to experience, it gives me the illusion of going through the world, and it puts my real energy into the ground.
Correct.
Whereas a book, a thought, a song, a poem, an idea can take me
Mhm.
anywhere.
Right. And you're supposed to be making music. That is one of your purposes and missions in this life is you are an incredibly talented musician. Um, you are great at writing lyrics. You can play multiple instruments. That is lacking, and it's hurting you energetically. Um, as well as the healing arts. Not tapping into the healing arts, whether you're actually practicing or receiving, that needs to happen more and more and more. I'm hearing once a week. You just let me know. Um, would be so beneficial for you, especially during this time period because we're all in this like weird shadow period where we're like the last 2 3 days have just been blowing things blowing up. And it's not just us. I've talked to several people where they feel like just like a freaking bomb was just dropped right in their life. It is a collective situation. It
Wow.
doesn't matter where you're at in the world, there's drama happening. And it's not happening to everyone, and those people that it's not happening to, I'm getting a sense of there's a lack of an awareness.
Mm.
People who have more of a sense of internal awareness about what's going on around them, just the propensity for awareness, just had a bomb dropped on them, right? And now we got to pick up the pieces and figure out how are we going to make this happen.
Mm.
Um, we just moved into the age of Aquarius officially, and so there is going to be a period of dismantling collectively, but that's a good thing because Aquarians are the rebels. They're the we can't go with the status quo. It's my way or the highway in a way, but collectively we kind of need that to move us out of all this dark, dense energies that, you know, we're living in. Some of us feel it more so than others. Um, some of us are fully unaware. Others are just very aware. But the thing is, though, is like who you're taking advice from. That's another thing that has come up not just now, but other times for you. Is who are you taking advice from? What information do they really have for you? Is it actually relevant? Sure, maybe it resonates with a part of yourself, but is it really relevant? You know, yeah, okay, this, um, let's use influencers, for example. Yes, this influencer is talking about this, and it's like, oh, yeah, I can relate to that. I know what they're talking about. But when you actually take that information out and plant it in your life, does it fit? Probably not, you know? Um, so pay attention to who you're getting your information from, who you're getting your inspiration from, who you're getting your warnings from, you know, um, and learn to pick it out and place it in your life. And if it fits, it fits. Say like some people in the world are having a lot of fear around, and rightly so. There's certain areas of life where so yeah, it's this sense of awareness that I kind of feel like in a way this reading is turning into a collective kind of thing. Um, but that's because both you and I are highly attuned to the collective. Um, And you had just said about how people like us that are quite attuned to the collective and observing it from maybe a higher perspective, the big picture kind of way, that it really is up to us to be the catalyst for help people to see themselves. Um, but not only that, to also, you said it perfectly, also to catch them, and we need to be caught too, definitely, like when we're having a tough time or just completely overwhelmed, it's helpful to be caught, to be loved, to be held, to be feel gentle. But as us as healers, for lack of a better word, we're here to catch the collective. We're here to catch the individual who shows up and needs to be caught. Um, and just hold them collectively. Obviously, we can't just catch the world. That's more of a metaphorical type of sense, like doing Reiki just to send Reiki to the human race or something like
Mm.
that. Just to send love. And then that's going to bring us right back to the concept of love. Um, because that's really resonating with you right now is love. It's like, okay, there's this person in my life that I could see myself with. I could see a future. Um, but is it real? Like, can I accept it to be real? Can I take that leap of faith without seeing tangible proof? There's two parts to that answer. One, logically, for our own protection, yes, you do need proof. You need to know for sure. But two, the other side of that is about the love, and love is a leap of faith. Um, and without having some form of tangible proof, then the love cannot actually unfold um, as deeply and expansively as it's available to us. So when it comes to her, um, have patience. It sounds like you've been doing the right thing about communicating and taking pictures and showing each other's lives. Like, this is what's going on in my life right now. I'm staring at this wall. You know, that's that shows proof of someone wanting to interact with you on that deeper level and letting the love grow versus just like, bam, we're in love. Yes, that can happen, but things fall apart and then you can start actually growing the love correctly. Um, so when it comes to her, I really feel like there is a chance of the love growing as long as the two of you maintain this some form of contact of what is happening in your life right now. What can you tell me about today? What are your challenges? How can I help you? Do you just need someone to listen to you? Did someone piss you off at work? Okay, tell me about it. I'm your cheerleader. Do you want me to go punch him for you? I'm on it. And I know that's you. You are a protector. You are a person that's like, hey, if you trip, I will catch you every time. Um, Now, when it comes to her, you definitely want to do that. I can feel it just radiating off of you.
Mm.
There is so much hope and faith in love for you. Um, but in the human aspect, if we really just bring it back down to this 3D world, proof is paramount because that's how we know we're safe. There's a security around it. Um, that okay, there is something that's where that gathering the facts is, right? Okay, so the facts are XYZ. Does that prove one, two, three? Okay, no, it does not. So, what is going to prove one, two, three? And that's where you just keep going with the flow, keep learning about the other person, keep learning about how you interact or possibly even react in any situation, but always keep asking, what's going on? Tell me what you're doing. Are you having any challenges today? What are your successes today? What made you so gloriously happy today? Are you tired? Are you happy? Um, Show me what you're doing if you can. Um, and if you can't, describe it. Something tangible that is going to help you feel more secure and safe and actually open yourself up to love in the most healthiest way you've ever opened yourself up to. So there, to answer that first question of yours, yes, there is potential, but it's up to you if you've had enough proof. Okay. Because I know you've been talking to her for some time now, um, and shared a lot of things. And I remember in the beginning, she, it was really hard to know if she was even a real person on the other side because you weren't getting any, like, I don't know, I don't see any pictures of her. I don't see what's going on in her life. Um, this could just be a bot, you know? I mean, I
It's
know
not,
you
not anymore.
not
Yeah.
anymore. You know that for sure. But in the beginning, I literally remember you saying that
Yeah.
this could just be a bot
Could be a bot.
and just messing with my head, messing with my heart. Um, but what I can tell you from what I've seen, witnessed myself, is after just kind of like felt like you slowed it down a little bit. Um, you are so much more relaxed. You have a lot more happiness, just kind of swirling around you.
Hmm.
Um, and your energy is not like, ugh, there's not that sense of like, oh my God, the weight of the world is on me. You're feeling more lifted.
Mhm.
So you can take that as part of your proof.
Mhm.
You can add that to the pile of facts.
The proverbial hand from the light reaching down to take yours,
Correct.
pull you
Yeah.
out of the morass
Mm-hmm.
or the molasses you've been in.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right. I see us leaving that dark space. There was a
Mhm.
lot
So
going on in
that was
there.
we went underneath the grand staircase, through the doors, out into the open land,
Hmm.
turned around, and you were facing, and we were going back into the staircase, but there was the darkness of the shadow self. That's what
Yes.
we were looked at.
Yes.
Okay.
And so now we're coming out of that. And this is where I'm hearing
Mm,
present, moving forward if you choose to.
mm,
Okay, so this is when I said your soul's progression, this is there, it kind of feels like they want to give you a little taste. Okay, so they're like, you have the choice of not being here, you have the choice of just staying at the status quo, and I know that's not for you. The hard part is putting in the work, actually connecting to nature, doing your journaling work. And you don't even have to call it journaling. You can just say, I'm writing my life story.
mm.
You're writing a book, whether you publish it or not, it doesn't matter. Everyone should do that. Everyone should write their own biography. Why not? That will put a lot of things into perspective. But now I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole there.
In one of our sessions in the past, whether it was hypnosis or other, I feel like I was in a place where oh, that was someone else. I was looking at a wall and it was covered with symbols and it was a map of the universe. That was something else. Okay, never mind.
Hmm. And there it is. There's your symbolism again. Um, so your whole soulscape is filled with symbolism. It is filled with writing. It's filled with light language. It's filled with different languages from Earth. Um, this is weird. I literally saw like cat scratches, like this sense that you can
Yeah, Lyra.
communicate with
Yeah.
animals.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely. Um, Miss Lucy is
Yeah,
right over your
you do
shoulder.
all right.
Yeah, this is your baby girl. Um, okay, so if you do those things, you take them seriously. There is an opportunity. This is where the money opportunity comes in. Okay. Um, and this will take you in a different way than you expected. Partnership of some form. I do not feel like this is tech related.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. You will not receive that opportunity, or you may receive it, but it will not be solidified until you do your co-creative work.
Hmm.
Big, and the reason being is because of what's going on inside of you.
Mm.
There's that sense of like still like um I've always seen money this way. So the fact that this amount of money is available to me, I don't see how I can bridge the two. You don't have to bridge the two. You just go from one state of being to the next. Um, and so that's what I mean by what's going on inside of you. Yes, you are worth it. You have all the skills you need. And you can charge whatever you want to because you have those skills and talents and gifts. Um, but it won't be a tangible thing until you do your co-creative work. So this blessing will show up anyway, no matter what. It's there. But how deeply you want to dive into the blessing and hold on to it and create out of that, all depends on how you start moving tomorrow. Literally. Um, and they're not asking you to change everything tomorrow. They're just asking you to observe. Remember the 2 weeks of just observing what your routines are? 2 weeks, just observe. And then after 2 weeks, that's when you start making little changes, just a little bit every day. And when you do that, it compounds to your day looks completely different, which means your life is looking different and you're seeing life different. Your perception has shifted. And that's all because of routine for you specifically, actually, for a lot of people, you know? Um, and that self love, you'll feel more proud of yourself in whatever capacity is meant to be for you. So that is available to you. I really feel like that opportunity is coming anyway, but in order to take the opportunity from here to here, there's the only space in between is the stuff you got to work on here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, in life, love, um, I'm not sure I see you in a different country. Like, I feel like you explore the world. Oh, we just got an epiphany.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
I'm not going to tell you. It's the opportunity that you were talking to me about, and I just realized how it can come to be and what's in the way. And you came out of that. That came out of you spontaneously, and it's exactly an opportunity. And I know exactly how I can make it work and why it won't work until I have more self love. Yeah. Thank you.
Boom. Um, so moving back to the whole where you're gonna be. I don't feel like you're gonna be in another country. Um, I really feel like you'll be homesick and want to be home, at least in America, not necessarily back here where we're at.
Mhm.
Um, it may be back down south, you know. Actually, that seems very likely. Um,
I feel Texas may be calling me.
Still south. hmm Um,
Maybe go see what Elon's up to. That war hawk. That good for nothing. Ne'er do well.
that guy is he's something else. I should do
Mm-mm.
an Akashic reading for him. um, anyway, moving forward, I am seeing more than one person in front of you, more than one female companion in front of you. Um, and this is another form of choice you need to make. One will be better for your path than the other. And whoever you choose, yes, there's going to be some grief letting go of the other one. Whether the other one is you just met and you've only known for a week, there will still be a grief for some reason. You'll be like, how I've known this person like my whole life, but we just started talking a week ago and now I have to let him go, you know? But, or it's where you're at now. I've known this person for an extended period of time, and now this person just shows up in my life, and I know that even though I may hurt this person is really the one that God chose for me, and how dare I go against God, you know? But and that's where free will comes in, because like who you're with now, that very well could be who God chose for you, and the other person coming in is just your test. So that is um all for you to suss out later on when it happens. Um, that is going to happen no matter what. That's what your soul's saying, is like, you wrote this into your plan.
The
So get ready,
having
buddy.
Well, you did say to me recently that you saw someone coming in to step in front of this other person.
Yes.
Is that what you're alluding to now?
I
Or is
guess
this
I guess so.
long-term scenario?
I mean, yeah, yeah, but I cannot give you timing. I do not give timing to people, because timing is so fluid, and like I said, we could have delays because of free will. Um, so, but it's written into your life plan for this situation to happen for you. I feel like this other person is American.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Um, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're the one for you in this path, you know. Um, it that's for you to figure out later on, because oftentimes what I have noticed for myself specifically, something amazing comes into my life, and then boom, there's a test. And it's like, okay, here's my chance to, which door am I going to open? Is it going to be door number one or door number two? And I have made wrong choices. Oh, I've already opened door number one, but my curiosity says, let's just peek in here. And then it's like, everything falls apart, you know? Um, so that's where your divinity needs to come in, and you need to be solid in that spiritual state of yours, in that place, so that clarity can come to you much faster, not only mentally but emotionally and within the body. The body is super important. I'm feeling like there's a lot of somatic work you could be doing right now. Somatic work is basically listening to the body, communing with your body. Like, okay, maybe your shoulder's sore, and instead of just like icing it or taking some medicine, you can put your hand there, give yourself some Reiki, and be like, what do you need? What's going on? And you may realize that, oh, right behind your ear is flaring up. Okay, so these muscles right here need to get worked out so that these muscles coming down here can relax,
Hmm.
you know? So, somatic work is really has a lot to do with putting pieces together by listening to your body. And sometimes it's not just about putting pieces together. Maybe it's just about relaxing, you know? So if you ever find yourself your hands balling up or something out of nowhere, I don't know if you do that, but just in case others do, that's a somatic sensation. That is your anxiety or anger, or those lower vibrational energies manifesting in your body, and you're tensing up.
Oh, mine appears in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was just the image I got.
certainly.
Um,
I get a pit in my solar plexus, like a
oh,
dark vortex, like a big gnarly wad of chewed up tobacco that's 1,000 years old. It's black and slowly still burning
mm,
right in there. in
Mm.
my,
Just right under your diaphragm area?
yeah,
Uh-huh. Well,
yeah.
does it make it hard to breathe then? Do you feel like you can't
Only
take a full breath?
only philosophically so.
Hmm.
Philosophically,
Yeah.
I doesn't physically,
Metaphorically,
yeah, it doesn't get in the way of my breathing, but it makes me less likely to want to breathe, to take in the reality that surrounds me in a certain given moment. Yeah.
that makes sense. All right. I'm checking to see if we have anything else.
Mhm. Does the little boy need to lead you anywhere else? I still feel like there's some symbols on a wall that are lit up that I need to see something about. But that's an image I had from a different reading 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm just getting possibly. All right, let's see if we can find that wall then. If it's even here or if it's somewhere else.
Well, the last one of the places
Oh
there it is.
my God, it's behind your door. That's why we couldn't see it.
Oh,
Okay, that just blew my mind. Um, because when I open people's doors, I don't close it behind me because I need to be able to come back out,
oh yeah.
right? So I just leave the door open. And I just saw this like shot of green light coming out from behind the door. So they said I won't get locked in.
Okay.
I'm like, thank you, because that would not
They're
be good.
here. Carol Ann. Carol Ann. Only the older people would get that joke.
Okay, stop. All right, come back. To me, it looks very jumbled. So I'm asking if it these symbols need to be rearranged into letters that
Okay.
we can read and that you can go tap into now that you know where it's at, you can go look at.
Well, I
Huh?
keep seeing this Nazca lines type glowing
Mm-hmm.
etchings, and one of them is something like a bird that's shaped like the top of an umbrella, maybe meant to represent transition or a new direction for my life.
Kind of like hieroglyphics.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
So
Like a
I,
bird with its wings,
mm-hmm,
it's just bringing them in after a real swoosh.
mm-hmm. I am not
That's
seeing
okay.
that
That's
way.
okay. Yeah,
But we do interpret things. All of us interpret things in our own
absolutely. Our
language.
brains translate into what we are familiar with.
Correct. So what I'm seeing, it's more kind of like just lines, circles, just kind of dismantled. The Reiki symbols
Mm-hmm.
and how they're like certain how they're drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
That Japanese character, it's like each character has been split apart into a brush stroke, you know,
Mm.
and those are kind of lined up either perpendicular, parallel. Um,
Whoa! What if all of the knowledge and information is there, but it's been shaken like you've shaken an 8 ball and all the pieces are just kind of moved around and they've congealed at a different space and at different points in my life? What if energetically they are representing how I am in my progression and what my energy represents on some number of dimensions, the
mm,
shape of who I am right now. And eventually, when I leave the body and I come back to my perfect self, God knows how
mhm,
many lifetimes from now, maybe it looks like a real picture or
mhm.
like a vision of something, a representation that we won't understand here, and certainly not in English.
I could see how there's some truth to that.
Mm.
And we won't know the full truth until after we transition out of this life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, because death is where we finally get the answers. um, so there is some truth to that. There's this to me doesn't necessarily feel like a story. Like what is written there does not feel like a story. It's more like instructions.
Hmm.
There's a sense of like, this is your guidebook. Um, and we've been waiting for you to read it. And you are welcome to add to it too. So with your experiences in this lifetime that you've experienced consciously, you can add to your own guidebook. Like, oh, this is the wisdom I received this time. I'm just gonna throw it in there and boom, it's now a part of my existence forever, right? Because we have the capacity to do that for ourselves. Just because we have these Akashic records, these records of our soul, does not mean that there's not more to be added. There's always more to be added. It's just time does not exist. And and so what could be added now may not be relevant until we relive the past, or it may not be relevant until we move into the future, you know? Um, so this is a heavy one. This whole guidebook is I have like probably 100 emotions right now. Like right now I'm feeling like super excited because I figured it out, right? But I'm also feeling stressed out because it's like, wow, this seems like a lot of responsibility. And then there's other like inspired but anxious, angry because I didn't know it was there to begin with, or you know, um, surprised because surprises are awesome or can be. Um,
We'll know that we can revisit this any number of times.
yeah, we may need to because there's a lot there that is we don't have enough time
Yeah, I'm
to
getting a
do that.
real strong, not how do I say this? That famous painting of the man, the painting ages, but the man doesn't. But the painting represents the energy at a certain state. I feel like maybe that stuff behind the door is some kind of representation of something I can't put my finger on right now,
Mm,
but that it does change over time and represents something in multiple dimensions.
very possible. That's definitely something we can revisit together, and then also um, you can revisit on your own too.
Mhm.
But you got to remember, maybe tonight you'll consider it, tomorrow you'll consider it, but in a month, are you going to remember? That's coming back to the routine is like what needs to be added in. Or if you have a calendar, like, okay, February 19th, I'm going to revisit this conversation or this concept, and building stuff like that in so that you bring that longevity back in your spiritual self longevity. That's what I mean. Um, I really feel like that's mostly it. Like that's a good place to close because it also leaves the door open for revisiting this and then seeing how that, like I see it like glowing and kind of shining its light out to certain areas in this field of vision I have. So it's like, okay, once you really start diving into this, then we can show you the wisdom you've been, you've gained, the wisdom that we are hoping for you to build off of.
I just got a pretty strong vision of the little boy, the little metaphorical boy who was leading you around, has walked out of the room uh, into the land around, is going over here to the left, and there's this brilliant blue pool that he was looking at himself in. And then in front of him is this giant chasm of like he's about to take this huge step into the unknown. And he looks at himself in the mirror one more time and he leaps and he pulls his arms up and there's wings here and he's totally in control and flying
Mm-hmm.
off into the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Or
That's
maybe we just
beautiful.
needed a cliffhanger. No, I really did see that.
Okay, but
Because it
that
represents what I'm about to do in this journey.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. We'll leave it there. Cliffhanger.
There you go.
There you go. All right. So give me just a second to unmerge from my helpers. Be embodied fully again. I have a song stuck in my head right now. Say you remember me. I can't remember the rest of the words, and I'm not going to sing it because I don't have a good voice.
I have the song Air Supply Every Woman in the World in my head.
Mm,
Talk about random.
that's beautiful.
I thought for a moment you were about to start singing it. We were like, our energies was just off enough that you had a
Yeah.
different one in your head.
Well, they do relate in a way, but yours is more masculine and mine was feminine.
And what was your song?
It's something about like always remembering this like special person in front of you. God, I am not going to sing it because I am not a good singer.
Okay.
Um, but I'll show you afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. We are officially
All
closing
right.
it out.
Thank you very much. That was
Yeah.
great. We should do this again.